बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम। आज हम पेपर सॉल्व करेंगे जो हुआ है 2 जून 2025 को। बलूचिस्तान पब्लिक सर्विस कमीशन ने दिया है सब डिवीजनल ऑफिसर का असिस्टेंट डायरेक्टर एप्टीट्यूड BS17। स्टार्ट करते हैं। इसका पहला एमसीक्यूज है द डैश स्टेट्स दैट द अलजेब्रिक सम ऑफ ऑल वोल्टेजेस अराउंड ए क्लोज पाथ इज जीरो। इसका करेक्ट आंसर है किरचॉफ वोल्टेज लॉ। इन पी टाइप मटेरियल डैश इज मेजॉरिटी कैरियर होल्स। विच ऑफ फॉलोइंग इज द यूनिट ऑफ इलेक्ट्रिक पावर वाट। इसका आंसर है in an AC circuit what does the power factor represent? The ratio of real power to apparent power. What happens to power dissipation if resistance in the circuit doubles while the voltage remains constant? It halves. Which energy source is most used for electrical generation worldwide? Coal. What is the main purpose of a feedback loop in closed loop system? To compare output with desired input. Which mathematical tool is commonly used to analyze signal in digital signal processing? Fourier transform. Which voltage level is typically used for long distance transmission line? 400 kV and above. Which type of power distribution system is commonly used for residential areas? A radial system. In Pakistan, what is standard frequency of alternating current used in most power distribution system? 50 Hz. Which type of modulation is used in AM radio broadcasting? Amplitude modulation. Which component is essential for demodulating an amplitude modulated AM signal? Envelope detector. What is the main function of commutator in DC motor? To convert AC to DC. Which type of DC machine is commonly used for constant speed operation? Shunt DC motor. What is the main purpose of carbon brushes in DC machine? To provide mechanical contact between commutator. Which protection scheme uses a current comparison at both end of transmission line? Differential protection. Which device is used to protect transmission line from lightning storm, lightning strikes, surge arresters? In buck converter, what happens to output voltage if duty cycle is increased while input voltage remains constant? Output voltage increases. Which type of controller combines the advantage of proportional and integral control to eliminate steady state error and improve response time? Proportional integral controller. In a unity feedback control system, what does the steady state error depend upon? System type and input signal. What are the higher transmission voltages used in power distribution system to reduce transmission losses? What is the primary reason for using square cage induction in an induction motor? Lower maintenance. How does demand response improve efficiency of smart grid? By allowing consumers to adjust their energy usage based on the grid condition? Which communication technology is most commonly used for real-time data exchange in smart grid? Power line communication. In a state space analysis, which condition must be satisfied for system to be completely controllable? The rank of controllability matrix must be equal to the number of state variables, which factor primarily determines the efficiency of thermal power plant, temperature difference between the heat source and sink. In hydraulic power plant, what is the main factor that determines the power output, the height of power head and flow rate? In power system, why is direction relay used for transmission line protection to differentiate between forward and reverse fault current? What is the primary purpose of bus bar protection scheme in power system? To protect bus bar from fault by isolating faulty section. In power system, what is the primary advantage of using numerical relay over electromechanical relay? It provides faster, more accurate fault direction. Why is bundle conductor configuration used in high voltage transmission line to reduce bundle discharge and minimize power losses? Why are static VR compensators used in power transmission line to provide dynamic voltage support and reactive power compensation? In DC circuit containing multiple resistor and voltage source, how can the load voltage be determined systematically? By applying Kirchhoff's current law. In an amplitude modulation, what is the main disadvantages using high modulation index greater than 1? It causes overmodulation. In a separately excited DC motor, how does an increase in armature voltage affect its speed when the feed current is kept constant? The speed increased due to higher used back EMF. In a ground power distribution system, why is example loss link polythene insulation preferred over paper insulated cable? XLPE has a higher thermal resistance. In power distribution system, why are the ring main units preferred in urban network? They provide vertical power supply path. In power system analysis, what is the primary advantage of using per unit system calculation to normalize system values? In power system analysis, what is the main purpose of conducting a load flow study to determine the voltage level for power flows and losses in networks under steady state condition? In power system analysis, what is the primary reason for using symmetrical component in fault analysis to simplify the analysis of unbalanced fault? In digital signal processing, what is the primary advantage of using a window function of Fourier analysis to reduce spectral leakage? In digital signal processing, which filter design technique is commonly used to convert an analog filter into digital filter by preserving frequency response characteristics by linear transformation? In power electronics, what is the main advantage of using resonant converter over a convention PWM converter? It allows zero voltage and zero current switching. Which switching device is best suited for high frequency power electronic application due to fast switching speed and low conduction losses? MOSFET. Which power electronics converter is used to convert DC voltage from one level to another without changing polarity? Chopper. In smart grid, which technology enables real-time monitoring and two-way communication between utilities and consumers? advanced metering infrastructures. This technology in smart grid enhance grid stability by providing real-time measurement of voltage and current, phase angle, phasor measurement unit. Which of following method is commonly used for analyzing the stability of non-linear control system? Lyapunov directs method. Which of following controller provide both transient and steady state improvement and control system? PID controller. In the frequency modulation system, what parameter of carrier wave is varied according to the message signal frequency? In thermal power plant, what is the primary reason for using a condenser in the 1 cycle to condense exhaust steam into liquid for use the cycle? Which protection scheme is most suitable for detecting involving fault in transmission system? Direction of fault protection. A 220 kV transmission line has a per phase impedance of 0.2 plus j 0.8 ohm per kilometer. If fault occurs 50 km from the relay location, what is the total impedance seen by distance relay? 10 plus j 40 ohm. A 132 kV transmission line protected by a distance relay with an impedance setting of 20 ohm. If fault occur at a distance where the layered impedance is 15 ohm, how will the relay respond? Relay will operate intensely. If a 132 kV transmission line is protected by a distance relay with a release setting of 80%, if the total line length is 250 km, what is the protected zone length? 200 km. Hydroelectric power station has a water flow rate of 500 cubic meter per second and an effective head of 120 meter. If the overall efficiency plant is 85%, what is the approximate power output? Take G is equal to 9.81 meter per second and water density is 1000 kilogram per meter cube, 500 megawatt. In a common emitter amplifier circuit, the transistor has a current gain of 150 and base current is 20 microampere. What is collector current? 3 milliampere. A series RLC circuit has a resistance of 5 ohm and inductance of 2 Henry and capacitance of 50 microfarad. If the applied voltage is 120 volt and at 60 Hz, what is the total impedance of circuit? 23 ohm. A DC circuit consists of 3 resistors, 4 ohm, 6 ohm, 12 ohm connected in parallel. If the total current supplied by battery 60 ampere, what is the total voltage across the resistor? 12 volt. Capacitor is a passive element designed to store energy in electric field. The response of RLC circuit is dash when the roots of circuit characteristics equation are real and equal and real critically damped. What is the relationship between following quantities? V square over R, I square over G. The relationship between power and energy is P is equal to D W over dt. If voltage is equal to 6 cos 100 t minus 30 degree is applied to 50 microfarad capacitor, calculate the current through the capacitor. 30 cos 100 t plus 60 milliampere. An ideal transformer has a time ratio of 1:5 and is supplied at 200 volt when the primary current is 3 ampere. Its following statement is false. Voltage is 400 volt, EMI faucet, standing current is 15 ampere, EMI faucet, both PLC is conserved. Dash is a circuit that is designed to pass signal with desired frequency and reject or attenuate other filter. The Thevenin impedance of network seen from the load terminal is 80 plus 55 J ohm. For maximum power transfer load impedance must be 80 minus 55 J ohm. If Q is equal to 5t sin 4 pi t microcoulomb, calculate the current at t is equal to 0, 31.42 ampere. अगर आप मेरे चैनल पर नए हैं तो मेरे चैनल को सब्सक्राइब कर लें, बेल आइकन को प्रेस कर लें, ताकि जैसे ही हम कोई टॉपिक वगैरह अपलोड करें, किसी चैप्टर्स के एमसीक्यूज अपलोड करें या कोई पेपर अपलोड करें तो उसका आपको फौरी नोटिफिकेशन मिल जाए।